Good morning, Hila Oren, and thank you so much for joining me here at Rachel and Friends, where I try to find innovation and intellectual property in each person's walk of life, and yours is such an interesting one. So why don't you tell us what you do?
Well, thank you, Racheli, for hosting me at your platform, Rachel and Friends. I'm the CEO of Tel Aviv Foundation. I work with the city for 12 years. I define myself as a city maker, and that really relates to innovation because a city maker is somebody that takes off red tapes and put red carpets. This is what it's all about in different issues of life, and I'll elaborate on that a little bit later.
I love that metaphor. What kind of red carpets do you think, using your metaphor, let's ask differently. What kind of challenges did COVID-19 challenge your foundation with and your city with? And if you could just name them. And
I think COVID-19 in one day, in 1 month, in 1 week, whatever, changed not only my city and my foundation, but the whole world. This is why it's a global issue. It's actually, in a way, a global war, where people in a minute stopped being able to go to work. Their job was dismissed. And in no time, that means in a week, in 2 weeks, in a month, they were in real poverty. They needed food, they needed money, they needed the lowest stage in Maslow's triangle of a hierarchy. This is what they all need. And that put me in that challenge in one day, because usually the foundation deals with the cherries of the city, building new buildings, bringing innovation, bringing quality, improving quality of life.
The extras.
This time, COVID-19, improving quality of life means bringing food and money to the people. And this is something totally different. So this is the challenge, and in a minute, I'll share with you what we did.
So when you sat in front of the board and you saw what are the most urgent challenges, what was the first thing you decided to do? You sat together and you knew that the first challenge is to feed people and to make sure they have a roof over their head and some cash. And what was the first thing you did? And how would you describe the innovative points in what you had to do, which means to invent new things, because there wasn't any COVID-19 or such a crazy challenge before that?
Absolutely. Tel Aviv Foundation, the DNA of the organization is to raise money. This is what we need. Each organization has to define what is exactly the USP, the unique selling point that this is why we are all meant for. So we are a financial tool. We need to raise money. The thing is that through the COVID-19, we understood we need to do it differently. So we initiated in a week the Mayor's Relief Fund. That means we put the mayor on front, we branded that fund, and we went and asked all our friends for money for the issue, and of course, the model of matching from the municipality. So one thing was to use the mayor as our presenter and as somebody that everybody relies on, that he can, whatever his leadership is taking, it will be the right way to go. People put in their money, the municipality matched, and what happened was 3 things. First, 40% of the donors were new donors, because it's a new situation. People understood that this is an emergency, there's no time to wait, to make decisions. If they really want to help other people, this is the tool they need to use.
Were these people from all walks of life? These people weren't just very rich people or from all walks of life, right? All levels.
Absolutely, although most of them were rich, because the ones that are not really did care for they were also worried for themselves, but there's so many rich people around the world that don't donate. So this was a situation to reach out once. Yeah. Second, we understood that this is not the only tool we can use, not only raising money. We thought, okay, how are we using the money we raised into different financial tools? And the emergency, the urge of emergency brought to use 3 different new tools that we didn't use before.
Mm-hmm.
One, sorry, is loans. We never gave loans before to artists. Artists are usually people that can raise money, can go to work and earn money, sorry, not raise, but earn money and live a beautiful life. But at this time, the earth went under their feet and they needed some help. So what we did is the model is to go to find somebody that is, some organization that is collaborating with you. This time it's Ogen and Mifal Pais. We brought two collaborations with the mayor's fund, and we put.
Why don't we say that Mifal Pais is the Israeli lottery organization?
Absolutely.
And
so
what is Ogen? What kind of organization?
Ogen is a social organization that is already built for 30 years that specializes in giving loans. So they have their donors and they could bring their money already. So we brought their budget with the lottery budget and with the municipality budget. We put it together and we're starting to give loans. This is something we never did before. The city foundation never gave loans to anyone. This time we understood that artists are the ones the most in need for this specific loan because they will be able to give the money back later once they go back to the circle of work.
Was there anywhere in the world where you could learn or see what other cities have done with such special foundations? And
so I must say not a lot most of the cities didn't do that yet, but we did look and we reached out to New Orleans where they had their artist fund. They did a beautiful work on giving, not loans, but giving small budgets to artists. It's a little bit different. We learned from them something very interesting about declaration of truth. We learned from them the way they spread their application, although we thought that their way is not the best way, so we're doing it differently. But still, it's a peer group that you can learn from.
You shared knowledge.
What you like, you adopt, and what you don't like, you continue onward. So these were the loans. At the same time, we also signed an agreement with Social Finance, another organization, about social bonds for loneliness. A very big issue that we understood is the loneliness for elderly. And this was a project that we worked for 5 years. But again, the COVID-19 really showed how much the issue of loneliness is desperate. So it pushed the signature of the contract of the project. So we are also launching that. And last but not least is the city coin. Again, something we started using already 2 years ago as a pilot, but through the COVID-19 really gave a push because people needed money, but still didn't want to go out of their houses and meet and didn't want to touch. And that way we could, since the city coin is a virtual coin, you could send it as an application in your app phone, and you can go and use the city coin in different local shops where you can shop. So you do 2 things. You support the local shops, the local economy, and you support your residents, and you support your economy, and you keep hygienic. You don't touch anyone, you don't meet anyone, you do it from far away. So I think these 3 tools have the same model. You define a need. Once it's the Arab community in Jaffa, once it's the artist, once it's the elderly, then you reach out to a partner where you collaborate with, whether it's the lottery, the Ogen, the SFI, the Kolu app, which is a private
foundation.
Exactly. And then after you reach out to that collaboration, you build the model and you start a pilot. And because there's an emergency urge and there's a real need, for us, it works until now.
In all of these new things that you created, were there a lot of points where you shared or where you could enjoy, as the Tel Aviv Yafo Foundation, the infrastructure that the city already has, digitally speaking?
we enjoyed the infrastructure that the city has, not only digital speaking, also digital speaking, but all the infrastructure, whether it's education, whether it's social workers, whether it's the Mishlama in Yafo, it's the organization that leads Yafo. Every department gave us its professional background and professional tools, because the foundation, again, is only a financial tool. The professional tool with the content of each one of these needs is the infrastructure that we leaned on. And of course, the digital infrastructure that you're talking about is something that, in a way, we even take for granted, because we already have it for a couple of years and we are really blessed by that.
Tel Aviv is a smart city, known as a smart
Absolutely.
city.
Since 2014, worldwide known.
I would like, yes, and won prizes, I think, right? I think that Leo Schechter is known
in Barcelona.
in the world as, yes, the leader of the digital. When doing all this collaboration with these platforms, did you find yourself also offering these professional bodies that were already in existence in real some new content that came with your financial help? For example, you said that your program to help loneliness. That's not only money, is it? That has to do with connecting people that are lonely with other people that are willing to keep them company. Am I correct?
Of course, the money is just a tool for improving quality of life. Sometimes the money improves the loneliness, sometimes the money improves hunger, sometimes the money improves education, sometimes the money improves being in contact. When we bought computers to people, the money, any financial tool is only a tool. The cause, the need, the quality of life is the thing that we put in the focus.
So what I'm trying to get to is are there situations in which your staff and yourself are part of choosing what kind of content you would like to be used with the money that your foundation, that all of your foundation brings to the city? Because there's a kind of collaboration of professionals sitting already in the departments and new amounts of funds that you can bring to help the new challenges. And I think that in these meeting points, you might find some innovative activities and actions that other funds around the world that do the same in other smart cities and other not yet smart cities can learn from. And that's the special place of a fund that is not the city itself. That's what I'm looking for.
Absolutely. It's always about people, Racheli. When we talked in the beginning about taking off red tapes, the red tapes are not being taken off by themselves. They're being taken off by people. And people are people that are taking among themselves to be leaders and to decide to say yes and not no, to find a way how to say yes and how to take off those red tapes. Now, these three tools that I talked about, the city coin, the social bonds, and the loans, all the collaborations were people that we had trust with and we had long communications and we believed together in the same cause. I think when my partners all over the world, in Barcelona, in Kenya, in New York,
in New Zealand, I think you told me as well, right?
Sorry?
In New Zealand, I think you mentioned.
In New Zealand, of course, the City Foundation in New Zealand, in Christchurch, New Zealand. I learned so much from my colleague Amy Carter, the CEO of the Christchurch Foundation. When you learn from them all over, or when you collaborate with them, your tools improve. And this is, I think, actually the inspiration to initiate the Tel Aviv Fund, the Mayor's Relief Fund, was after I heard from Amy Carter about their relief fund for the March 13th in Christchurch.
I remember. That's beautiful, because you received information from there and information goes back and forth. And I think it's beautiful that you give them the credit. And I think that you mentioned in our previous conversations that there were cities around the world that were starting to show interest in what you were doing here, because you spoke of collaboration with New Orleans, Christ City, and now
And then Barcelona approached to us, and Sydney approached last month. And it's friends, you know. We want to help each other. We are feeling that we are part of a little world. Global cities are the issue, and financial tools are just tools. We want to improve our life, and we're all behind Zoom screens now. We can share ideas easily.
That's amazing. So what I would like to ask, I ask all my friends that I have here, what is one word that you would choose that for you describes this crazy period of time in our life? And just 1 second, I forgot to ask before that, do you think that these three new tools that are very innovative and new, and you had to create them because of a terrible situation, do you see them going on living after the COVID in normal times?
Of course. I wouldn't use them if they were just for the COVID. It's not a medicine for illness. It's a tool for regular, beautiful life that we can use to improve our life.
Amazing.
So the tools, we started working before, and we will continue, of course, later. And I don't believe in things that, if they're not in regular life, in Hebrew we call them shigra. If it's not in day-by-day life,
Routine.
it won't work on crisis time. And going back to your word, I think it also relates to what you're saying now. My word for COVID-19, and also this is a word that is always my punami word, my trust and my soul, is freedom. I think COVID-19 gave us a lot of freedom, freedom of our thoughts, freedom of our regular habits, changing them instead of going to the office, meeting through Zoom, instead of buying in the shop, buying from our farmer, instead of flying all over, going and enjoying pocket tourism. Instead, so many different things are opening our day-by-day habits and things that we do, and we're free to choose again. I love choosing. And
what I love about freedom is the fact that it connects to the to what I love so much, which is imagination and innovation. Because this freedom, I mean, you had no choice. You had to try and innovate. You had to try to think of new stuff. And maybe from this horrible thing, it's a kind of engine for innovation and creating new ideas. Because otherwise, with the old ones, I mean, you know, it couldn't be done. So that's where freedom and innovation meets, I think. I want really to thank you very much. I know how busy you are at such times, and we're not yet over it. And I hope to meet you again in better times. And really, I really thank you for sharing that. And I hope many people can see it in other cities, and they can, you know, share and ask you, because I see that you have experience. Take care and stay healthy.
Thank you for your energy. Keep me posted. I think what you're doing is brilliant. It's interesting, and we'll be continue. We're all busy, but we want to learn. So thank you for the opportunity.
I'm so happy to share. Stay healthy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.